Few companies rival Amazon in the world of e-commerce. But in India, one business has grown at a monumental rate and now tops India's e-commerce industry. That business is Flipkart, the Bangalore headquartered business founded in 2007 by Sachin Bansal and Binny Bansal, which shares a similar story to Amazon, as it also started life as an online bookstore. Flipkart now sells a variety of products from electronics, technology, appliances, clothes, and sporting goods, among many others in their 150 million strong product range. To fulfill all those orders, Flipkart has over 1 million square foot of space within distribution centers across India. Its story is so powerful, mainly due to the weak belief in internet entrepreneurship back in the early 2000s in India. But what is the story of Flipkart, which has seen highs and lows over the years, and how have they made internet entrepreneurship a desirable career? Here's how it happened. The story started back in 2005 when Sachin Bansal and Binny Bansal were studying for their BTech from IIT Delhi, first meeting in a lab as the pair were stuck in college over summer for not completing their assignments on time. The duo moved to Bangalore for work and both ended up working for Amazon in 2007. The pair understood the importance and power of e-commerce from Amazon, and they started to think up ideas of how to launch their own website, despite only 50 million Indians having access to the internet at the time, compared to over 600 million today. Binny and Sachin launched their own shopping website to review products, to help people check the prices of products to make sure they weren't overspending unnecessarily. But after realizing that the products they were recommending were found on terrible e-commerce websites that they themselves would never make a purchase from, the pair quit their jobs at Amazon to build their own e-commerce website, which they launched in September 2007 with just $5,600. They started with books because they were the easiest to list, ship, and find vendors for. Having said that, even book vendors were hard to find at the time because the internet was fairly new in India and was met with a lot of skepticism. The low cost, however, did mean that they rarely overpaid for products, which might have happened had they branched out into electronics early. Flipkart's first order came in October 2007, but after their vendor told them that the book was unavailable, the pair became nervous, thinking that they couldn't even fulfill one order. So they set off to find the book somewhere in Bangalore, and sure enough, they found a copy of the book and successfully delivered their first order. This sheds light on how they treated their customers. They wanted to put their customers first whilst offering a strong and seamless shopping experience. But the faltering start was a concern, as was the fact that they couldn't convince their friends to join their venture and struggled to attract investment. Even its first 2 employees were uninspiring, an unemployed factory worker and a chain-smoking hippie who was only hired because he owned a working laptop. After fulfilling orders and developing their website, by 2008 Flipkart was operationally profitable, and a year later, after being turned down by almost every investment firm in the country, they received capital investment of $1 million from Axel Partners. After growing the business to 150 employees across 3 offices in India, with revenues of $544,000 by the end of 2009. Through Sachin, the business dreamed big as he imposed his vision and strategy. He was obsessed with the term billion, with a view to becoming a billionaire and the goal of reaching the whole of India. And in Binny, despite being shy, he was the brains behind the operational side, with the pair complementing each other. And with Flipkart, the Bansals built a trustworthy brand among the Indian market with 24/7 customer support. They also released a no questions asked return and replacement policy. It seems ordinary now, but 10 years ago in India, it was extraordinary. It helped Indians to come to terms with buying products online, and meant that products were delivered to their door and payment was refunded if they didn't like the merchandise. By 2011, revenues had risen to $10.2 million. This impressive growth and customer orientation led to increased interest from investors. Tiger Global invested $10 million in 2010 after the fund manager Lee Fixel took a keen interest in the business. That investment was used to acquire new merchandise to sell, namely mobile phones, in 2010. But the business struggled to gain traction. Evidently, customers were happy to make small purchases for things like books online, but were unwilling to spend a large sum of money for a mobile phone without first touching and feeling the product. But this didn't stop the Bansals, who pivoted to launch a cash-on-delivery option, where customers would only pay once they'd received the product. The business continued to grow thanks to its excellent service, new product categories, and competitive pricing. This in turn led to more investment in the business, and in 2012 it officially became a unicorn, reaching a $1 billion valuation. By 2014, Flipkart raised $1 billion, led by GIC at a valuation of about $6 billion. And Sachin declared that they believe India can produce a $100 billion company in the next 5 years, and we want to be that. Would Flipkart lead India into the internet age? Well, it certainly would have been easier had Amazon not been around, but thanks to Flipkart focusing on customers and building trust, they continued to grow alongside Amazon's presence. With the funds they'd raised, they acquired Myntra for $400 million in 2014 and Jabong for $70 million in 2016 to expand into fashion. But not all of Flipkart's acquisitions have been successful, with the Mime 360 and Flight music streaming service failing to get off the ground. They also tried to launch their own payment gateway called PayZippy, which only operated for 1 year before being closed down in 2014. They now use PhonePe instead. At one stage, they also restricted access to their own website to encourage people to download the app, which caused uproar and proved unsuccessful. This, coupled with Amazon competition, meant that Flipkart began losing customers and were being bullied by a larger organization with deeper pockets and greater knowledge, leading to lower revenues and bigger losses. These losses then looked like cause for concern, with some suggesting that the business was spiraling out of control. For example, Flipkart was spending 2.23 rupees for every 1 rupee received, which was more than Amazon and might have potentially sunk the business. But perhaps the biggest turning point was in 2018, when Walmart acquired Flipkart for $16 billion, gaining a 77% stake in Flipkart and valuing the business at over $20 billion in a plan which would see Flipkart IPO in 4 years' time. This saw Binny follow Sachin in leaving the business upon the acquisition, and since then the business has continued to grow and now sees eBay and SoftBank as investors, as Flipkart is now valued at over $37 billion. Kalyan Krishnamurthy, a Tiger Global executive who took over as CEO in 2016, replaced the Bansals at Tiger Global's request and has proved an impressive appointment, adding more items to the online store, including groceries and furniture, as well as significantly reducing expenditure to improve the financial outlook. They've also launched new initiatives like Flipkart Quick, a 90-minute delivery service, as well as investing in NinjaCart, a food supply chain firm, with the company now receiving 1.5 billion website visits every month. The 4-year IPO plan is also on track, with Flipkart expected to go public in the 4th quarter of 2021. To conclude, the Bansals bucked the trend in India to not only succeed in building a billion-dollar business, but also in making internet entrepreneurship cool for the whole country. They focused on keeping the customer happy, building trust among locals to ensure their money was being safely spent. They resolved a problem and bounced back from historic mistakes. And as of today, Flipkart is the largest e-commerce business in India, with a market share of 31.9%, beating Amazon's 31.2%. That is their legacy, and that's how it happened. Thanks for watching.